Hi there, it's Carol with Carolbcrafts. Today we'll be making covers for our password booklets. Now, I've been using a password journal for quite a while. These are for your internet passwords. It's like an address book. It has A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so forth. But it gives you an option to put the web address, your login username, PIN or password, security question, and notes. And of course you'll want to use pencil when you put your entries in, because you'll want to be able to erase when you change your password. You want to be able to erase it so you can put your new password in. Now, I purchased these password journals on Amazon.com. They're made by Adams, and I bought them in packs of 10, and I think they were like $2.50 a piece when you purchase them in packs of 10. So this is project number 4 in my Amazing Life Club Kit. Check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, to see what current club kit I'm offering. Now, if you didn't purchase the club kit, don't worry. I'll give you the supplies and dimensions as we go along so that you can make this adorable password journal along with us. Now, in your kit, I gave you one of your password journals, but I gave you the option of making either the Berry Burst or the Night of Navy, depending on which you preferred. And so you have the supplies to do both. Now, some of the supplies that you'll need to make this project, you're going to need layering circle framelits dies. Now, the Night of Navy cardstock, these dimensions you would just switch out with Berry Burst if you're going to do the Berry Burst. You'll have 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then a 1 1/4 by 6 3/8. So 1 1/4 by 6 3/8. So like I said, if you wanted to do the Berry Burst, you would do these dimensions in Berry Burst. And then if you wanted to do the paper, you just use this paper instead of this paper, which comes from the Needlepoint Nook collection. Now, the project that you did before, when you did this project, which I think was number 2, your paper came like, I had you cut it like here and here, which should have left you with a 6 3/8 by 6 inch piece of DSP. So if you are using the pink, then your paper is going to be facing this way because you want your flowers growing up. You'll have your 6 3/8 this way and 6 this way, and then you'll just cut it in half. So 6 3/8 by 6 cut in half would be 6 3/8 by 3. So you have 2 of those. And then for your circle here, you're going to need some Whisper White, 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. Now, from your embellishments, you're going to need 3 of the little enamel epoxy enamel dots, Happiness Blooms enamel dots. You'll need 3 of the Night of Navy, large, medium, small, or 3 of the Lovely Lipstick, large, medium, and small. For the pink, if you're doing the pink, you have both in your kit. Now, in case you want to make more, I'll let you know that this butterfly is the larger butterfly in the Butterfly Gala Punch that we have. And then this butterfly comes from the Butterfly Beauty Thinlits dies, the one that's thicker, not the more outline one. And it is this butterfly right here. And I just trimmed it off, rounded this little wing here to make it look like a complete butterfly. Your adhesives that you'll need will be multi-purpose glue, glue dots, and tear and tape. And then the tools that you'll want to have on hand would be your scoring tool, your piercing tool, scissors, and your bone folder. So let's get started making our adorable, pretty little password booklet. So if your journal has the peel off, go ahead and peel it off. Some of them have it on, some do not. And just remember which is the front. You want to be sure to put your butterfly on the front. We're going to take our Night of Navy or our Berry Burst, whichever you're using, 1 1/4 by 6 3/8, and get our scoring tool. So when you have your scoring tool, the 1 1/4 across at the top, you're going to score at 5/8 down the center using your smaller scoring ball here. And that's our scoring. So we're going to take that 5/8 line and we're going to just turn it and kind of fold it and burnish it a little bit, but not a lot, because we don't want to break a crease there. We don't want any cracking in our, so just make a nice light fold, not a, because it's going to go around here, so it's not going to end up being a tight fold anyway. You can see like that. Okay, so now we're going to put our paper on, our DSP, and we're going, it's a little bit bigger, so we will be trimming it. When you put it on, you want to match the top and sides perfectly. We're going to use glue, and then you can always trim down here later. Okay, so we're going to put some glue on here, and we'll put our glue in our corner. This 3 by 6 3/8. Go ahead and take that off in our corners. I'm actually going to do it a little bit above the corner because I know that's going to hang off. And then I'm just going to put dots, kind of. I don't want to get too close to the edge, but I do want to get close enough that it's going to kind of ooze to the edge, but not over the edge. And then I'll put a generous amount here to hold it in place. So now I'm going to come up here to the top and match it perfectly. And that's what's great about this glue, is that you can you have some wiggle room to move it so that it matches perfectly. But again, if it goes over the edge, you can always trim it. So I'm going to wipe my hands off because I have glue. Okay, so now we've got that side done. We're going to do the same thing over here. This is the top, so we want to make sure, and you do want to make sure your butterflies are flying up and not down. That's important too. We'll do the same thing with the corners. Glue in the corners, a little above the corner, down here at the bottom. And dots. If I can get my glue to cooperate. And again, matching the tops and the sides. Not worried about the bottom because I can trim it. And press it down, let it dry. Clean my fingers again. I have glue on them. Looks like I got some glue here too. Okay, I'm thinking that's going to be dry here in just a second. And make sure I cover up. I got a little bit of that blue underneath showing. I'm not sure how that happened, but I can trim that too if it bothers me. It doesn't really bother me though. It's just a really thin line. Okay, so now then we are ready to, I guess we'll go ahead and trim this now. I think it would be easier to trim it. Make sure if you got any glue in your papers that you, like I'm seeing here, you can use your pencil tip to get that glue off once it's dried a little bit. I'm not even sure how that glue got inside there. Probably my fingers, most likely. But just make sure that none of your papers, your pages are glued. Because that would not be good. Okay, so now we're going to, yeah, I have glue here. sticking everything, so be sure you get all that glue off. You don't want any of your papers to stick. Okay, so once you've made sure you got all the glue off of there, you'll take your snips and you're just going to follow along on the inside that where the blue cover ends. And do the other side. So now we're ready to do the binding. And the binding is basically, make sure we find our front. The binding is going to go here. I see I got some glue there that needs to come off. We'll probably find it for quite a while until it's dried. So you're going to take your binding and you're going to kind of put it in place here in the center, and you're going to pinch it and kind of hold it down. And while you're holding it down, you're going to take your bone folder and press it down and kind of make like a flat surface on the top. So you're holding it in place like this, and you're pressing down with your bone folder gently. You don't want to rip it. So now you have like a flat surface there that is kind of like a binding for your card, your not your card, your notebook. So we're going to start by putting some tear and tape along the edge here. So I'll get my tear and tape, and you want to put it as close to the edge without going over. All along here. And be sure you go all the way to the end too. You can use your snips to make sure you do that as close as possible. And then I'm going to burnish it a little to make sure it did take hold completely of the cardstock, and then remove my tape. So this is going to go, make sure I get, again, you want the top is what you're worried about matching. You don't want to care about so much about the bottom. You want it to match at the top. You can even actually go over a little bit. Okay, so we have that. I'm going to burnish it. To make sure it sticks. And now on the other side, we're going to put some more tear and tape as close to the edge as possible. And snip that off. And then I'm going to burnish this one and get my piercing tool and remove that. And now I'm just going to take it and fold it over like this and burnish it. Now we flattened the top, so now we're going to come back, and on the sides of that crease, like there's a corner, on the corner sides of the corner, we're just going to kind of flatten that that sharp edge so that it's more rounded, so it has a more rounded appearance. Okay, so we have that. Now we're just ready to snip off the excess down it here at the bottom, and that should be easy enough to do. So now we have our base. All we need to do now is our butterfly and our circles. Now with your layering circles framelits, you're going to get the 5th largest circle die. So we start at the large one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is this one. And then the 4th largest scallop circle. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 5th largest circle die, starting at the large, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 4th largest scallop circle, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to die cut those. So I'm going to run those through my Big Shot, just like this. So now I have those, and you would be doing the berry burst if you were doing the pink notebook. Now if you want to, which I did, I ran my circle through my Textured Impressions Subtle folder. So I just kind of stuck it in there and ran it through. If you want, like this one doesn't have the subtle, but this one does, and it's just really subtle. So it's really up to you which you prefer. But I'm going to do the subtle, so I'm going to run this through my Big Shot. So this is going to go on top of the Night of Navy or Berry Burst, depending on what you're doing. And I will use some glue to put that on. Some dots of glue. And then I'm going to put that on my front of my card or my notebook. So I want it about right here. Wherever you want it is good. And I will use glue again for that because I want it to stay on. And I have my angles of my subtles kind of going in this direction if you did decide to do the subtle. Now for our butterfly, we're going to use the base, and we'll need our glue dots for this. I'm going to put a glue, maybe a couple, or maybe just one. I'm not sure. If I can put a couple there to hide them, I will try, because I want to hide it. Twist it off, don't pull it off. And then just put that in the center, kind of make it so that it matches, it's even on both sides, kind of like that. Twist it if you don't get it perfect, twist it off. Okay, that looks good. Press it down, and now we're ready to put it on here. So going to put it at slight angle. This time I can put some glue dots here in the center, but I do want to kind of have it turned up. I don't want it flat on there. So I'm going to put about 4 glue dots in the center on both sides near the center, and I'll show you. So I basically did 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want it at a slight, maybe like a 30-degree angle. That's a little bit too not in the center. There. Press it down really good. And then you can fluff up the wings a little bit. If you want to, you don't have to fluff them up. It just depends. If you're going to be storing it in a purse or something like that, you might not want to fluff your wings up too much, because then they will catch on things as you take them in and out of your bag. So the last thing we have to do is our enamel dots, pink or blue, depending. The larger one goes near the head, just right behind the head. The medium one goes below that, just below it. Come on, you can do it. And then the smallest one goes on the end, like that. And we have our butterfly. Okay, so we have our password journals, our password address book. And they do recommend that you have a different password for each website, that you don't use the same password for each website. So this would make it really easy for you to have different passwords for different websites and not have to remember them all the time. And they even suggest that you don't keep your passwords on your computer, because if somebody hacks your computer, they have all your passwords. And that's the biggest reason I got a password journal, is because I wanted to have a different password for every website, and I wanted to be able to keep it safe so it can't be hacked. You just have to be careful not to lose it. All right, well, this was project number 4 in my Amazing Life Club Kit. Check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, to see what current club kit I'm offering. Thanks for watching. Bye now.